Welcome in the latest episode of the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast, presented to you by the Betting Pitch Podcast Network. I'm your host, Real_G Warner, joined by my co-host at Big East Ben. He has won two best bets in a row. Is that right? At least, no, you won last week's best bet. I did
Two out
not
of
win
three.
last week's. 2 out of 3. And we are going to give you some winners on tonight's episode for Saturday, Valentine's Day. Get your hornies out. College basketball card. And we're going to go through 4 of the biggest games out there. We're going to try to also break down what's been going on. If you've been really focused on your dating life or something like that and haven't been as up to date on college hoops, that's what we're here for. Big East Ben, how are you on this pre-Valentine's Day evening?
Good, doing good. Yeah, 1-0 on best bets. Marquette came through, absolutely eviscerated Butler. I had forgotten it was National Marquette Day as well. And also Butler's 2 guards were out, a position they're already thin at, Kaiser and some other guy. But if I knew it was National Marquette Day, I would have teased it up to 10. I I actually would have gone 5-0 if you didn't talk me out of Florida.
You went the
Switching to
over
the
instead
over.
of yeah.
They eviscerated Texas A&M. And then Jake Davis, Illinois, didn't have balls of steel, hitting those 2 free throws to send the Michigan State Illinois game to overtime when the under was clearly in hand.
Yeah. There's a reason they don't call it undertime.
Mm.
I feel like we've got some topics to discuss before we get to the biggest games on our list. We got 4 to discuss. Then we're hitting a lot of the state of Iowa so far this week. Big East Ben, what did you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I guess I'll say this. First off, my dad thinks there's a conspiracy in the Big East to get Villanova into the tournament. So keep an eye on that with the Cats visiting at Creighton this Saturday as 3.5-point favorites. 2, that Houston BYU game was awesome. And first off, just Houston, like the end of the game, how they absolutely just put a siege on the glass and got, I think, 5 straight offensive rebounds to absolutely salt the game away. That was awesome. And I just want to say, I really appreciate Kingston Flemings because here's a dude who, like, yeah, he's a top 10 pick. I know he's not top 3, but just local kid buys into the program, buys into the style, loves Houston, plays for a coach that is actually going to hold him as accountable. And it's just so refreshing to see that over a guy like AJ DeBansa, who, yeah, he scored 28 points, but has no connection to the program.
What do you mean? There's a long line of Brockton, Massachusetts residents going to BYU and
I know he
Provo,
lived in
Utah.
Utah when he played for the prep school, but no connection to the program, will not change his style for the good of the team, has a soft NBA coach who just concedes everything to him. And then on the, shift to 1,500 miles, you have Mr. Darren Peterson, who now not only is his hammy little tweak, he has the sniffles and can't play against the #1 team in the country in Lawrence Fieldhouse, an absolute like career defining moment. Like these guys just think their college career, their 1 year is just going to be a footnote. Like, no one really remembers Durant at Texas, even though he made a Sweet 16. I don't think these guys will get that far. But like these guys don't give a rat's ass, and it's just so refreshing to see a guy like Kingston Flemings, who's an absolute competitor, great basketball player, but just plays within the system. And yeah, I mean, who was the one who said like you rather have? Are you really rolling the dice at this point on a 3 million guy who's not completely bought in, or get 3 $1 million guys?
Just for the sake of the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast moving forward, we're going to have a couple fact checks on what was just said. It is not the Lawrence Fieldhouse, it is the Allen Fieldhouse. Also,
Sorry, I was on one.
there's more. There's more. Also, I believe you said that Kevin Durant made the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, he did not.
Round of 32 loss
He big round of 32
as
loss
a 4 seed.
to Swaggy P and Taj
Oh,
Gibson, USC.
jeez.
And I will never forget this because it was my freshman year. I was like, I'm about to win this college basketball bracket pool contest that I made. This girl in my dorm watching the UT game. Says boo Texas as the game starts because she had picked USC, and everyone else in my entire like bracket, of course, in college had all picked UT to probably win the whole thing or at least go all the way to the Final Four. Well, she basically won by default because USC knocked them out, and that was really problematic for my roommate who refused to talk to her for the rest of the entire year. He didn't last that long, but there was a couple of angry moments that was sent in her direction for a guy that didn't care about college basketball, which was my roommate, not me. But we're gonna go through four of the biggest games in this card to talk about.
Do you have
Kingston
anything to
Flemings. He's
add?
awesome. Kingston Flemings is awesome. I'm still so impressed by his performance against Texas Tech a few weekends ago when we gave it a double best bet winner. Maybe we'll do that in tonight's episode. I hope so. But I think to your point, I mean, AJ Debanta, like we've talked about him a lot in this podcast. He did absolutely destroy my Baylor play this week, unfortunately. Had a nice uncontested 3-point shot to cover the
Shocker.
spread at the buzzer.
BYU was losing at halftime.
Yeah, and then literally dominated the second half. So it's basically rinse, wash, repeat at this point. And Baylor had this heroic comeback after looking absolutely like they were getting outclassed, and unfortunately left a wide open 3-point shot at the buzzer short. And would have been a nice winner for your boy, but unfortunately couldn't get that through. And then we stumbled on Jerome Tang this week to really just sum up how enjoyable this college basketball season has been for me. And
What a press conference. He is getting absolutely annihilated for that.
I mean, so Jerome Tang, I guess you can summarize the press conference, but he's basically said there's not a lot of guys that are on that team that will be wearing the uniform next year.
The guys don't deserve to wear the uniform, and there will be a lot of guys that are wearing the uniform that won't be next year, just waving the white flag on the season. It's like, dude, neither are you.
Yeah, yeah. One of these things is exactly like the other. Yeah, spending $2.5 million on PJ Swaggerty this year. PJ Haggerty after $2 million on a certain Illinois center big man.
Like, think
last
about
two
like that in
seasons.
stock terms. That's like
The
taking a
ROI to basically, and unfortunately, like I even tweeted out. So they're with that Cincinnati loss in the last two seasons, they've spent $4.5 million of West Kansas money, which I don't know how much there is because there's not a lot of stuff out there. I'll put it that way. But spending $4.5 million to go 26 and 31, 10 and 21 in the Big 12, including 1 and 10 so far this season. I don't think Jerome Tank's coming back. I thought honestly that he was taking over a program that could do things, and certainly in NIL, it's a little bit different of a
It was
scenario.
great
But
when he had Marquise Noel and like unsung guys.
as soon as they started to buy players, everything went to hell. And maybe it's that they spent all their money on one single player, but I mean, bringing in the round mound or rebound in 2026 to like do step back, fall away 2-pointers when they're down 25 to Cincinnati. I decided to just like suffer through it and do some yoga while I was watching it. But I swear, doing some alms and some deep breathing didn't help me. So I think I'm done for my entire lifetime with Jerome Tang until he finds a new scenario, new place to rest his head, and stops doing these little dumb fucking emo every man a Wildcat videos. So now that that's off our chest,
One thing on round mound of rebound, like what's his name? Marcus Johnson?
I've tried to block it out of my mind at this point, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it's I want to call him Puff Johnson,
Ah,
who's
except,
back in the freaking news joining Ohio State.
oh yeah, funny how that goes.
Yeah,
Did they
this
they
will be
find
his.
another waiver? Yeah, Puff Johnson, surprisingly skinny despite that name.
Yes, very skinny. Yeah, sixth season, the Trinidad Chambliss of college basketball.
Yeah, I'm honestly ready for the NCAA to just completely combust. But at this point, I don't even know who's playing, and I really loved Charles Bediako was active
Hi,
and
buddy.
available for at least 3 games or however many it was, and one of them absolutely destroyed my Auburn bet pick and rolls over and over and over again against a team that really had no defensive interior presence, and then he had an offensive one, everything like that, and then the next game he was not available. So we'll start on this card with one of our already mentioned players. I definitely fell in love and almost tweeted or almost sent to you, messaged a tweet I saw that Darren Peterson has decided to sit out the rest of the season. Turns out it was a troll account, but was very, very believable. Well done, whoever that was. But we'll start with the Kansas Jayhawks, and they were a big 4-point or so home underdog to to Iowa State the first time they played and got a straight up win. And now Kansas goes to Iowa State, to Ames, Iowa, 7.5 point dogs. So it was 145.5. What do you got in this one?
We haven't talked about Iowa State in a while, I feel like. Maybe since like Big 12 play started.
Maybe since
Um,
they were rated as like the best team, the Monstars, it seemed like based on what their spreads were looking like earlier in the season.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, you would expect like any team that walks in the Hilton would get like crushed by 20. And they had done that to an extent against the dregs, the Colorados. He didn't even really blow out Oklahoma State there. I'm just saying that's not a I don't know. I would expect them to be winning by more versus the teams they've played there thus far because they
Mm.
really only played the bottom of the Big 12 at Hilton. The last big game they had there was a 4-point win versus Iowa. Um, Griffin, this is purely a like I think Iowa State's very good. I think Kansas is a lot better than expected. Who freaking knows if Peterson's going to play? Honestly, they might be better without him. It's just
How? How could they be better without him? How?
defensively, the ball moves more.
I mean, we are at a point where like we have one NBA player, and maybe it speaks to what K State was doing and who they are. I mean, I
I
don't
mean, they
really.
won at NC State without him. They won versus Arizona without him. They won. I mean, beat Texas Tech because of him. Didn't play the second half against BYU. They did collapse.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, to your point, like I would rather have the fighters and that what we know is going to go and play together as a team because the NBA players, yeah, the prospects are good, but like the 4-on-5 defensively, you just can't really overcome in a real basketball game, which I think we're going to see here.
Yeah, and also the spot delta is crazy. Kansas coming off probably the best win of the season in college basketball, and Iowa State coming off just a perplexing low energy effort, 62-55 loss to TCU, and they're home. I'm going to back Iowa State.
Yeah, it's hard for me to want to give I guess that sort of number. 7.5 points is a lot to give away. I think I'll go under 145.5. I think that kind of correlates to a style that Iowa State wants to play, though they do certainly have the ability to score the basketball. I think we see some revenge, as you said, and I don't know that KU hangs around, though I don't. KU is one of the hardest teams for me to think about right now. Move next to a game close to me in the Dickies Arena, and I'm not sure this game matters anywhere near as much as it was thought to matter early when it was scheduled. Louisville, 6.5 point favorites, I guess on the road at Baylor, but Waco to Fort Worth is not exactly next door. And I feel like if you're given any sort of home field advantage, home court advantage to Baylor, you probably shouldn't. Spread is 6.5, Louisville favored, totals 163.5. Do we see the ACC is actually close to the Big 12 this year? Is this a big tell on that? Does it matter? Is it just one game? What do you think?
God, no. I mean, it's closer than expected, but it's not close.
I mean, last year it was basically the Patriot League in the Big 12. So I guess that's improved.
Can I ask you something?
It is a podcast, please.
What is going on with these midway through conference play, out of conference games? Like, I feel like the first time it happened or remember it was that Kentucky Gonzaga game from 2023, I believe. But
Yep.
that at least was like at Rupp.
Well,
Like,
we
what?
had, I mean, it goes all the way back to the bracket busters. If you remember when they tried to like schedule games in the preseason to give mid-major teams a chance to have like an out-of-conference game that would boost their resume, and then I think they killed it because the big
Well,
conference.
bracket busters was just between two mid majors, though.
Well, if you'd let me finish, I would tell you. So,
Okay.
what I think happened is that the big schools were like, hey, we have these TV contracts with you, and you're actively kind of trying to prevent us to make the NCAA tournament by reducing our bids. We don't like this. And then I think the mid majors were basically like,
Ooh.
it's also really hard to predict who's going to actually be good because they'd play these games that then all of a sudden wouldn't matter and it would just damage their schedule completely. And if they're going on the road to some other mid major team, it really kind of tanks their chances. So then we moved to I think it was the Big 12 against the SEC out of conference for a while, I want to say, because Texas seemed to always be involved and lose. And then it went, and now I don't even know what we're doing with the rules and stuff like that. But I mean, this is an attempt, I think, at growing the schedule strength, and I imagine Louisville would want them to do this much more than Baylor. But it's also probably because we have a million teams in a million conferences, and it doesn't seem to matter anymore. If you can find a slot, you find one. But I mean, Baylor is a huge, huge problem. Louisville's probably going to make the tournament even if they lose this game, but it's definitely not helping their strength of schedule right now or anything like that. A neutral game against a team that's been a disaster in the Big 12.
That was a really good history lesson. I appreciate it.
Someone mentioned that I should be a social studies teacher. I'm like, oh my God, I really hope that's not my next career path.
So people believe Louisville might be back to doing Louisville things after the 30-point win, 40-point win against NC State, where Mikal Brown had 45 points. I'm not ready to anoint them as, the clear second best team in the ACC yet, just because of that one win. I'm gonna have to see more. Yeah, no Caleb Wilson for a while. That stinks.
Yeah, he was so bad against Miami. I'm sorry, but what a nice winner for me this week with North Carolina ready to bet them the whole day. Decided,
I'm so mad I missed
oh,
that.
that-
Oh, it was such a letdown spot.
and then going on the road to Miami after the miracle win, where I think did UNC lead for 14 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that at the top of the show. All time, all time wine job by Shire after that game.
Yeah, he can't win the big one. Just can't. You're gonna keep talking because I can't breathe at the moment. Give me a second.
Okay, okay. I'm not ready to anoint Louisville as the second best team in the ACC just yet. Weird game at the Stickies Arena. I think it's used a lot for rodeos. Weird sight lines, not good for a visiting 3-point shooting team. I'll back a Baylor team that has been playing well of late. Narrow losses to BYU, Iowa State after 2 wins against West Virginia and Colorado.
If you are watching it on video and Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, leave a 5-star review, make a comment, something about Big East Ben's handkerchief wrapped around his head, and you might have just seen me chugging water out of the filter. I'm gonna go. I think this is a letdown spot for Louisville. Coming out of that strong ACC to the strong Big 12. I don't know how I'm gonna do it or how they're gonna do it. I'll take Baylor plus 6.5, and I guess hold my nose. Move next to another big game in the state of Iowa, and that is Purdue visiting Iowa here. Purdue with one of the craziest games this week. And if you want to know how my season has gone in college basketball, just check out Nebraska somehow blowing that game after being down 21 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but up to like with the ball with under X amount of seconds left. And then, yeah, they had their big man Rink Mask foul out, which he also was so tired of the game and just literally reached out and got a touch foul on purpose so he could sit on the bench for a little while. Surprisingly, came back to bite them, but literally just couldn't get an offensive rebound. Fouled Oscar Clough. He made an and one. He missed a foul shot because he missed like 7 in a row. And literally just like not having a big guy because Nebraska is maybe one of the biggest paper tigers I've ever seen in this world. But they're not playing this game. So we'll go back to the Purdue side of things. So Purdue, 2-point favorites at Iowa. Totals 141.5.
Letdown spot. I mean, it's a letdown spot. It's also a great spot for Iowa. If you're saying, "Hey, Big East Ben, why didn't you tell me not to bet?" I thought Maryland was free money. Big East Ben, what the hell? Not when Iowa is in a huge look-at spot going out to College Park against one of the worst Power 6 teams in the country. So don't blame me for that. You should have seen that coming.
Because a lot of people saw that coming. And honestly, Buzz Williams getting hot ever since I posted that video of you doing the Buzz Williams dance on the West Virginia floor. That somehow no one decided to beat your brains in when you did it a few years ago, way back when the Need for Speeds went on parade back in the day.
Yeah, we were well. I mean, they said we're going to meet Huggins, and we never did.
Still waiting.
Well, what do you expect me to do?
All I know is that it's very. I mean, if you've been a long time with the Need for Speed College Basketball podcast presented to you by the Betting Pitch Podcast Network, you knew that we went to a game and met some Skyline Chili owners. Shout out to them. I forget their last names, but they said that they were really close with Coach Hugs, and we were going to meet him after the game. So we hung out forever. said hello to all the players. I even took a picture in a Texas gear with one of their shooters, who I forget his name now, but never Huggy never came out because I guess he didn't do that after losses. A rare Texas road win that I actually attended. But back to Purdue, 2-point favorites at Iowa, totals 141 and a half. Are you sold on Purdue? Because they've looked pretty bad until they went to Nebraska. Literally passed the ball all around, had Nebraska running around like the chickens with their head cut off just to not even get close to 3-point shot. But then Purdue got a little bit cold and then blew an incredible lead and then blew it again. And then we're down in overtime, but came back and won.
Yeah, I mean, rough shooting for 13 of 46 from three, 46 threes. That's a ton of threes.
Yep.
So to win that game on the road is insane. I mean, this is a tough stretch, dude. We talk about, having two really tough games in the span of a week at Nebraska, at Iowa. Iowa, motivating spot. I'm going to back who might be a better coach. Time will tell. I think Ben McCollum
Whoa.
is destined for great things.
Whoa. Wow.
We'll see what happens after Sturts leaves, but
will he ever leave? I mean, are they going to count his Division II years as not counting anymore, so he can just play forever? I don't even know the rules anymore.
Yeah, they played Purdue tough at Mackey, losing by 7. I think they had a lead in the second half in that game. I'm going to back Iowa in a revenge spot. Good spot. Good spot, revenge spot. Great bet.
Yeah, great bet before you made it. Awesome. Before it even happens. I'll take Iowa +2 as well. I mean, Purdue's really talented. They have great 3-point shooting at times, but it's usually in Mackey Arena. It's not so much showing up on the road. Really tough back-to-back road games, as you mentioned. We're really fortunate, had to play overtime. Not a great thing. And I think Iowa coming off a loss, we see a great performance. Love Ben McCollum. I don't know if you guys just have the same name, so you think he's a Hall of Famer already, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Matt Painter on the coaching tree. But at the same time,
Ben Howland, Ben Jacobson, Hall of Famers.
Yeah, different levels of success. Let's put it that way. I'll take Matt in that competition, but Ben Howland did make 2 Final Fours in a row, I think, and then got fired. So that might have been the worst decision UCLA ever made. Hello, Steve Alford. We'll now move to the last game on our list before we get to the ultimate best bet coming for each of us, end of show. And we'll go to another game that involves the Arizona Wildcats. They're 9-point favorites at home to Texas Tech. Total is 156.5 in this one. What do you got?
So, did you watch Arizona, Kansas, I presume?
I did not.
Arizona was essentially just like feeling themselves as they have all season, just like taking just ridiculous shot selection. And they can just easily overpower a lot of teams. Like Badunga actually had like a really good game on the offense end, but like I don't think Flory Banduga is equipped to handle this level of talent in the Arizona front court.
I think I see every time he plays, I see one sign that seems to always be repeated. It's Badunka. That I believe he can do. I don't know if I see him making 12-foot jumpers a lot.
No, but he had a good. I mean, he doesn't. I don't. Does he take 12-foot jumpers? I think he's shooting like 80% from the field.
I mean, that's not the design that I would put out there for him. I'll put it that way.
Tech's good though, man. I mean, they've handled. Have they handled business on the road? Lost at UCF. Won at Baylor big. Played Houston tough. I don't know. 9.5 seems like a lot, man. 9.5 seems like a lot for Grant McCaslin, Obi Toppin.
Just 9. Just 9. Sorry, just
9. Okay. Just 9. Christian Anderson. The top tiers of each team is very comparable. Arizona's obviously a lot deeper. Texas Tech's going to fight. I'm probably going to take Texas Tech first half. I don't know if they can hang in it for all 40, but
interesting. First half so sure. Here's the problem with doing that, which I like the idea. And if I'm playing Texas Tech, I will be splitting first half and under. First half and game. But that same type of scenario happened in a game earlier this year against Duke on the road, or I guess whatever, neutral, Madison Square Garden. And I think they started 9-0. I was watching the game at a bar. I remember exactly 9-0, and didn't cover the first half spread because literally just fell apart. And it started to get really ugly. And beginning of the second half, I went to a bar, met this beautiful chick, and then literally I was trying to watch the Bears and the Packers way back when. Okay, I'm just it's setting the stage, dude. People like imagery, and so just imagine, like, because most of the girls at Arkansas don't get in there for their grades. But all I can say is I literally could not watch that game because I could barely even watch the Packers over my shoulder. And when
Do
I,
any of the guys get in there for their grades at Arkansas?
I'm not sure who gets in there for what, but
Not exactly the Ivy of the Ozarks.
I mean, I don't know how many Ivies or Ozarks there are around that area, but there is a nice little Fayetteville is kind of a city on a hill. Surprisingly, just like Lawrence, Kansas, which is bizarre. But anyway, the to get to where the story was eventually going to go, went to the office and one of my bosses is a Texas Tech alum, and he was like, "Hey, did you see the game last this on Saturday?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I watched the whole first half. I'm sorry, it looked like you guys were getting murdered. How did it end out?" And he's like, "Well, we won." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was like this crazy comeback." And I was like, "What? How?" It looked like it was completely impossible. Um,
Christian Anderson couldn't miss.
Christian Anderson, and then even though JP Toppin had fouled out pretty early too, or JT Toppin, so I was like, I don't know how that happened, and that's one scenario where you could.
And I think like Watts got hurt
Watts, I
or
think
was
Watts got
fouled
hurt.
out too, maybe.
Yeah, I think they were missing so many guys against a Duke team that's to me stronger. Maybe not stronger than Arizona, especially not at home. But Duke was favored by 10 points on a neutral, which was crazy, and didn't even win straight up. So to me, I feel like most of the time, to your point, like with Mississippi State, Kentucky earlier this year, first halves are usually where you play well or play your best, and then the crowd or the atmosphere or just the plenty of time on the road that certainly winds you down. But I suggest a split first half in game if you're going to play this because it's really hard to know. But the nice part with the 9.5, wherever it gets to, is that usually teams stop fouling at that point because they want the close loss for the net. So that might be a reason where you play full game totally because then you don't have to worry about just the hanging around by half of a point or something like that at the end of 20 minutes. But I'm with you. I'll take Tech full game plus 9. So we're splitting in that direction. You the first half, me the full game. Now we'll get to the ultimate best bet, the best bet portion of the show. This is the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast presented to you by the Benefit Podcast Network. If you're not subscribed, hit it at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube and Betting the Pitch, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. 5-star reviews are huge. Comments related to Big East Ben's headbands or his new hairstyle. I swear it's a lot browner than it used to be, but maybe it must be all that time you've been spending outside. And who knows? But
Not browner than it used to be. So it used to be.
I feel like it was always darker, like really dark, like
Oh, so it's more like
black.
chestnutty.
Yeah, yeah. You've certainly added some nuts to your hair. I think we're gonna go and find some winners in this episode. So where do you want to go for your best bet on tonight's Need for Seeds Valentine's Day edition? Spread some love and some winners.
Read some love, just like that halftime show told us.
Really? Was that the? Did you understand any of it?
I guess that was the message. Like that. According to my mom.
Oh, well, love
Yeah.
love is stronger than hate.
He's like, oh, I love that. The game stunk, but I love that halftime show so much.
I mean, I guess we didn't do predictions of the Super Bowl, so we'll bury the lead a little bit on our best bets. But were you kind of hurt that people were saying that Bad Bunny gained more yards with the football than the New England Patriots?
I didn't see that one. Yeah, it's tough to win games when your fourth overall offensive lineman is skinny fat, slow, has terrible technique.
One of Bill Simmons' takes so far this year was that, when we get Will
Short
Campbell back,
arms.
when we get Will Campbell back, we're gonna be like we're gonna be fixed and we're gonna make the Super Bowl, which I guess he was right on half of it. But I'm gonna chalk it up to Will Campbell being hurt and coming back because they needed him and that's what happened or something like that. But yeah,
I saw an Instagram video where this guy's like, yeah, look at Laramie Tunsil, look at Jonathan Ogden. They're like giant guys with like definition in their muscles. Will Campbell looks like he's never worked out in his life. I'm like, God damn it, that's a really good point.
yeah.
I thought that when they drafted him, I'm like, that guy looks nothing like Eric Fisher, like big, like or
I mean, he
Thomas.
did have. You could
Jake
say
Thomas.
he kind of had murderer's row of pass rushers running at him the last
That's
few
true.
weeks. Will Anderson or whatever combination with the Texans. I'm still kind of amazed. And I don't know. The Texans I feel like still could have made that Super Bowl if they had just I don't know not had C.J. Stroud in for 4 quarters and took him out at halftime or even halfway through the second quarter. But good run. I think a year earlier than expected for the Patriots. I'm sure it was not a super fun Super Bowl for you. I had under, and everyone was complaining about how bad the game was, and I was like, that's exactly what I'm hoping for. And
What
then
was Kenneth Walker?
and then the Kenneth Walker run for a touchdown,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "Yeah, woo!" And I'm just sitting there, like, I think I pulled my shirt over my face, and I'm just sitting there, and
Dude,
everyone's like,
there was a call made on that. They never showed the holding replay. Like that was like for the public to get anything, they needed that.
and then everyone basically like looked at me, and they're like, "Ooh." Everyone had their like Bad Bunny time or whatever. The buzz was really kicked in. Everyone was pretty effed up at that point. And then all of a sudden, someone says, "Flag, flag, 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 flag," and I like, we got it, and it was enough to just win the under by 3 points, which looked like it had no chance of losing for the entire game. Nothing like sweating out the under at a Super Bowl party, but it happens. Okay, back to best bets. Big East Ben, winner on last weekend's episode, 2-1. Since we've come back to YouTube at the real_G Warner, where are we going on this week's best bet?
I talked about this conference a lot last year and haven't really talked about it much this year. I'm talking about the Colonial Athletic Association. I'm not calling it the Coastal. Hofstra visits UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington is 2.5-point favorites. Griffin, we talked about the difficulty multiple times of this podcast of playing two tough games in the span of a week. How about playing two tough games in the span of 3 days? That's exactly what Hofstra is in the midst of. Speedy Claxton's crew has went to Charleston on Thursday, got a big win at TD Ameritrade Arena against the number 2 team in the country, an arena that 50% of this podcast has been ejected from. And now they have to go to UNC Wilmington, the number 1 team in the CAA, who is totally comfortable at playing at the same slow pace as Hofstra, has enough muscle on the defensive glass to counter Hofstra's offensive rebounding, and I think will make enough threes in front of a great crowd, a great gym in Wilmington, the Seahawks. Probably the nicest facility in the Colonial, because they don't listen to washed up, awful referees and eject their patrons in front of 2-time national championship winning coaches.
So there's a lot of just throwbacks here. Do you remember how you signed off a first round NCAA tournament Big East Ben broadcast best bet winner last year?
UNC Wilmington plus 17.5 against Texas Tech, or 18.5.
Do you remember how you signed it off?
Caw.
There it is. And then I also, TV Teddy. Do you remember what you said to TV Teddy? That's what also I wanted to hear.
I was just yelling TV Teddy. I had a tough week. I was just let off steam, and yeah, I always thought, like, thinking back on that, I got really excited because I thought maybe UConn was playing Buffalo, and I thought maybe Nate Oates was the coach of Buffalo. It was a year after Oates left for Alabama, but what a story if it was in front of Hurley and Oates.
I mean, you probably would have made some friends if they saw TV Teddy eject you, and they're like, "Oh my God, we found our second cousin or something like that with a full head of hair."
Nate Oates would have figured out how to defend that move the way he's been spinning everything in press conferences.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so
everybody, what about all the European guys? What about all those guys that played pro?
you think we're gonna allow all these Slavs in this league, and we're not gonna let
I know,
Charles
man.
Bediako play?
It's literally like he's like complaining about the freaking yeah, everything's so screwed up. Like we're all trying to find the guy who did this. Like, no,
Yeah.
dude, look in the fucking mirror.
It was your first round pick. He dropped off the gun, remember? For my best bet on this episode, I'm going to go with Iowa 2-point underdogs at home to Purdue. Yes, you could argue that I'm just chasing the cover against Purdue, but I think Iowa, Bennett Sturts, however long he stays, Ben McCollum, new Hall of Famer, according to Big East Ben, looking forward to that. And I feel like the home underdog is enough for me in Carver Arena. So that does it for this episode of the Need for Speed College Basketball Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Big East Ben, at the real_G Warner. And we'll see you next weekend on the next edition of the College Basketball Podcast.